You've used Klarna. You paid zero interest, zero fees, $0 extra. So here's the question. How does Klarna make $2.8 billion a year? Because there's no such thing as free money. Somebody is always paying. And in Klarna's case, it's not you. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you every single way Klarna makes its billions. The fees you never see, the data play hiding in plain sight, and the AI bet that almost blew up the whole company. This is the Klarna business model. Decoded. Quick disclaimer. This video is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. All figures are sourced from Klarna's public filings and verified financial reports. Stockholm, Sweden, 2005. Two teenagers are working the same Burger King shift. Their names are Sebastian Semyatkowski and Nicholas Adelberth. Between orders and greasy trays, they're already talking about startups. They later study economics at the Stockholm School of Economics. That's where they meet a third co-founder, Victor Jacobson. But the real spark happens somewhere unexpected. Sebastian takes a job at a debt collection agency before finishing his degree, and merchants keep telling him the same thing. We lose huge amounts of money to abandoned carts. If someone could guarantee we get paid, even if the customer never pays, we'd happily give them a cut of every sale. That single insight became Klarna. The pitch was simple. We sit between the merchant and the customer. We guarantee the merchant gets paid. The customer pays us later. And we take a small fee on every transaction. They pitch the idea at an innovation event, and they get booed. But one investor believes in them anyway. A Swedish angel investor named Jane Wallerud. She gives them 60,000 euros in seed funding, plus 5 software developers, in exchange for a 47% stake. The company originally launches under the name Creditor Europe AB, but the world would come to know it as Klarna. Over the next 2 decades, the company expands across Europe, launches Buy Now, Pay Later globally, secures a banking license, and eventually lists on the New York Stock Exchange, nearly 20 years after that Burger King shift. Before we talk about the money, let's make sure we understand what Klarna actually does. Imagine you're buying a $200 jacket online. At checkout, Klarna appears. You choose Pay in 4 payments of $50, spread over 6 weeks. You leave the checkout page and pay nothing extra. But behind the scenes, something interesting just happened. In about 2 seconds. Step 1. Klarna runs a soft credit check, not a hard pull, so it doesn't affect your credit score. Just enough data to decide whether you're likely to repay. Step 2. Klarna pays the merchant the full $200 immediately. The retailer gets paid right away. Step 3. Klarna charges the merchant a fee, usually around 30 cents plus a few percent. On that $200 jacket, the merchant might pay Klarna about $7. Step 4. Klarna now owns the debt. You repay them in 4 installments, and if you pay on time, which almost all users do, Klarna keeps the merchant fee. That's their profit. Klarna isn't just lending money. It's acting as a middleman guaranteeing the sale. The customer gets convenience, the merchant gets certainty, and Klarna gets paid. Now that you understand the foundation, let's count the money. In 2024, Klarna made about $2.8 billion in revenue, and that money comes from 4 main engines. First, merchant fees. This is Klarna's heartbeat. Every time someone uses Klarna at checkout, the merchant pays a fee. Klarna processed more than $100 billion in purchases in a single year. That is an enormous flow of money moving through their system. Even a small percentage of that volume becomes billions in revenue. So why do merchants accept those fees? Because Klarna increases sales. Studies show it can boost average order values by around 30% and improve checkout conversion rates by more than 40%. For retailers, That extra revenue easily justifies the cost. By 2025, Klarna had roughly 850,000 merchant partners worldwide. The second revenue engine is interest income. Most users associate Klarna with zero interest payments, but that only applies to the short installment product, Pay in 4. Klarna also offers longer financing plans, 6 months, 12 months, sometimes even longer, and those plans do charge interest. In fact, roughly a quarter of Klarna's revenue comes from these longer credit products. So while millions of users never pay interest, a significant portion of the business still relies on traditional lending economics. The third revenue engine is consumer fees. Klarna doesn't highlight this part in advertisements, but it's real. If a user misses a payment, there can be late fees. Those penalties represent a meaningful share of revenue. This category also includes Klarna Plus, a subscription product that offers perks like fee waivers, exclusive deals, and price tracking. The fourth revenue engine is advertising, and this might be Klarna's most underestimated opportunity. Klarna isn't just a checkout tool anymore. It's a shopping discovery platform. Millions of users browse products, compare prices, and track deliveries inside the app. That audience has purchase intent. They are already in the mood to buy. So Klarna sells visibility to brands, sponsored listings, featured placements, retail media ads. It's the same playbook that helped Amazon build one of the largest advertising businesses in the world. And Klarna is just getting started. Then came one of the most ambitious AI experiments in fintech. In 2024, Klarna partnered with OpenAI to build an AI customer support assistant. Within months, the system was handling roughly 2/3 of all support chats, the equivalent work of hundreds of human agents. Response times dropped dramatically, and the company expected tens of millions of dollars in annual savings. The headlines were everywhere. AI replaces hundreds of workers. But reality turned out to be more complicated. Customers started reporting robotic responses. Complex problems were harder to solve, and satisfaction scores began falling. Eventually, engineers and marketing staff had to step in to help answer support requests. Klarna's leadership later admitted the company had pushed automation too aggressively. By 2025, they started hiring human support agents again, this time using a flexible, gig-style model. The AI system didn't disappear. It still handles massive volumes of requests, but now it works alongside humans instead of replacing them. The lesson wasn't AI doesn't work. The lesson was about where automation reaches its limits. Now let's talk about Klarna's valuation, because the numbers are dramatic. In 2021, Klarna was valued at more than $45 billion, the most valuable private fintech company in Europe. Then interest rates rose, tech valuations collapsed, and Klarna's losses increased. By 2022, the company raised funding at a valuation closer to $6 billion, an enormous drop. Over the next 2 years, the company focused on discipline. Costs were cut. Marketing became more efficient. Credit losses improved. By 2024, Klarna reported its first annual profit in years. Then, in 2025, the company went public on the New York Stock Exchange. Not at $45 billion, but at a still impressive $15 billion valuation. And Klarna isn't finished evolving. The company launched a physical Visa card, bringing buy now, pay later into physical stores, where most purchases still happen. It introduced savings accounts and debit services, expanding deeper into financial services. It began exploring stablecoin payments and blockchain settlement. And in one of its most surprising moves, Klarna even launched a mobile phone plan. Why expand into telecom? Because every new service creates another touchpoint with the customer, another source of data, another piece of the ecosystem. The company that started as a simple pay later button is slowly building something much larger, a financial operating system around how people spend money. So let's return to the original question. How does Klarna make $2.8 billion without charging you interest? The merchant pays. Every time you split a purchase into installments, the retailer pays Klarna a fee. Multiply that across more than $100 billion in purchases every year. And you have the core of a very large business. Then add revenue from longer-term credit products. Add consumer fees and subscriptions. Add advertising revenue from millions of shoppers inside the app. Wrap it all in a company experimenting with AI to scale operations. And you begin to see the real picture. Klarna isn't a charity. It's one of the most sophisticated financial platforms ever built, disguised as a checkout button. Next week, we'll break down how Stripe quietly became the financial backbone of the internet. If this video helped you understand something you use every day, consider subscribing. Every week, we decode how the fintech companies behind your favorite apps actually work. See you next time.